Hello everyone. In this presentation, I want to talk about a topic that affects all of us as students, using artificial intelligence for our coursework. Specifically, I am going to analyze the ethics of a student submitting an assignment written entirely by AI and passing it off as their own original work. We will look at this scenario through the lens of Immanuel Kant's deontological ethics and his three formulations of the categorical imperative to see if this action is morally acceptable. To break things down, I will start with a simple explanation of deontology and Kant's core ethical ideas, 005. Then, I'll introduce our AI scenario and test it against the three parts of the categorical imperative. Finally, I'll wrap up with a summary of why Kant would view this shortcut as morally wrong. Deontology is just a fancy word for duty-based ethics, a theory made famous by Immanuel Kant, 005. Unlike other theories that judge an action by its results, like utilitarianism, deontology says an action is right or wrong based on the act itself, 027. For example, Kant believed that rules like "don't lie" and "don't cheat" apply to everyone, everywhere, all the time, no matter what benefits you might get from breaking them, 016. AI tools are incredibly helpful for brainstorming or research. But the ethical line is crossed when a student uses AI to do all the work and hides that fact from the professor. From a Kantian perspective, the question isn't whether the student gets away with it or gets an A. The real question is whether the act of plagiarizing AI-generated content is inherently right or wrong. Kant's first rule tells us to imagine our personal choices as a universal law for everyone. If every student decided to pass off AI work as their own, the whole university system would fall apart. Professors wouldn't trust students, grades would mean nothing, and degrees would lose their value in the real world. Since the action destroys the very concept of education when everyone does it. Kant says it fails the test. The second formulation is all about respect. When a student lies about who wrote the paper, they are deceiving their professor and taking unfair advantage of their classmates, 117. Instead of respecting the professor as an educator or treating peers fairly, the student is just using them as a tool or a stepping stone to secure a GPA boost. Kant completely rejects treating people this way. The third formulation asks us to think about the type of community we want to live in. Academic communities depend on mutual trust and honesty. If we accept AI cheating as normal, that trust collapses. A university cannot function fairly without integrity, which means this behavior is completely out of line with building a respectful, moral community. To wrap up Kant's view, morality is about doing the right thing simply because it is your duty, not because it is convenient or easy, 027. Even if turning in an AI-written essay saves a student hours of work or gets them a top grade, it remains morally wrong, 044. You cannot justify an unethical act just because the outcome makes your life easier, 135. In conclusion, Kant's ethical framework gives us a loud and clear no on submitting unacknowledged AI work. It fails to meet the standard of a universal law, fails to respect others, and damages our academic community. Technology should be used to help us learn and understand, not to help us cheat our way through assignments. Thank you for listening.